It's time. The joint is here. Nas, King Disease 2, the sequel to the original King Disease album that gained my man Nasir so much critical acclaim. You know, not just acclaim from the streets and from the hood and from the hip hop community, you know what I'm saying, but the masses. That album had mass appeal. He won a Grammy for it. Nas and Hit Boy is back to recreate the magic. Let's see, can they recreate the magic from the first King Disease? Well, listen, full disclosure, if you haven't seen my review for the first King Disease that came out almost exactly a year ago to this day in August in 2020, I wasn't a huge fan of the first King Disease album. I thought it was okay. I thought it was a little light. You know, I gave it like a 3.5. I wasn't a huge fan of it. Going into this album, I was not trying to let my preconceived notions get in the way of reviewing this. So I went into it totally with an open mind. And let's just set it off. I mean, King Disease 2 produced, executive produced solely by Hit Boy. Track number 1 is called The Pressure. Now this song right here from the gate is setting a tone. It's a haunting type of beat instrumental. It actually reminds me of Tupac's song Pain just a little bit, you know, the way, you know, the beat kind of feels and the haunting kind of a beat that it holds to it. So it's very reminiscent of Tupac's track Pain, which was a classic track. The song has a little bit, you can hear Hit Boy on it, putting his little bit of, you know, auto-tune kind of haunting twist on with the vocals at the beginning. I actually like this song. I thought it was a good song, a good way to open up the album. Nas is very upfront, you know, it's a very self-explanatory song. It's talking about pressure. I mean, the pressure, you know, being under pressure to live up to expectations. And somewhat you can maybe correlate this to Nas maybe trying to live up to the expectations of the first King Disease album. You know, people questioning, can he do it again? That's why maybe this is track number 1 called The Pressure, because he's talking about all the pressure that he's facing, you know, possibly with, you know, coming out with this new album. Is it going to be good? Is it going to be a flop? Is it going to be whack? Is it going to be garbage? Is it going to be a classic? So Nas does a very good song on this. Nas does this track and the track does Nas justice. It's a good way to open up the album for real. And at the end of the song, Nas just tells us, listen, just to embrace the pressure. Good message, something that we all could definitely take heed to. I could take heed to that. So I gravitated towards that line. Me personally, I gravitated towards that line when Nas said, embrace the pressure. Track 2 is Death Row East. Now, keeping with the whole Tupac feel and theme, this is a beat, an instrumental provided by Hit Boy that I could actually hear Pac rhyming over back in the day, back in at his peak when he was on Death Row in 1996. The beat, you know, is it has that Pac feel to it. Nas is basically on this song breaking down everything that we've always heard in the media through Snoop Dogg and just third-party people that was there, but we just really didn't know the specifics behind the story. Nas talks about, you know, his lightweight, somewhat altercation that he had with Tupac outside the MTV, I think it was the MTV Video Music Awards or Movie Awards, one of the two, in Central Park in New York City, you know what I mean, in Manhattan, like right outside, you know, where both of their crews, you had the Death Row crew on one side and you had Nas and his boys and his crew, you know what I'm saying, his brother Jungle and everybody on the other side. Nas basically breaks down that altercation a bit, and he also talks about a run-in that he had with Suge Knight. And so this track right here was cool. I thought it was all right, you know, nice little segue from the first album. Like I said, keeping with that feel. It's giving me Tupac vibes. You know, the beat is. So I thought the song was all right. That's Death Row East. And one thing Nas does at the end of this song, he makes it very clear that Stretch never set Tupac up. Nas says that Pac was never set up by Stretch. And if you don't know that, the history behind Stretch and Pac and the theories about, you know, Pac's, you just Google it, you know what I'm saying, Pac's close man at one time, Stretch, you know, a lot of rumors and theories going around that Stretch had Pac set up at that quad studio shooting when Pac had got shot 5 times. But Pac, you know, but Nas clears the air, you know, from what he knows and says Stretch never set him up, according to Nas. Track 3, 40 Side. Now this one right here, we get Nas talking about his hometown, you know, Queensbridge, the 40 Side, the projects, you know what I'm saying, the infamous 40 projects Nas is talking about on this song. It's sort of set to like a more trap sounding beat, you know, a little bit more up to date on what, you know, is more dominant now in hip hop, the hip hop sound that's become more dominant on the radio airways and with the masses now. And Nas is rhyming on this song, and this is like Nas's more attempt to emulate a southern type of a flow, you know, the way the pattern in which he's rhyming on this song. This song wasn't a personal favorite of mine, you know, so I didn't really gravitate towards it. So it is what it is. It's called 40 Side, track number 3. Track 4 is EPMD 2. Now, this one right here is the one everybody was waiting for. Everybody has been waiting for it because it features not only the legendary rap crew EPMD, but Eminem is on this song. So everybody was patiently awaiting this joint right here. And listen, it delivered. I felt that, you know, Erica Parrish, you know, PMD from EPMD had a good verse. You know, I thought that EPMD verses was cut a little short. I could have went for a more lengthier EPMD verses on this song, but I thought PMD, you know, sounded amazing, you know, because I'm so used to back in the day, you know, PMD is the, you know, PMD calls itself the self-proclaimed slow flower. And I'm so used to hearing PMD, yo, slow flow, PMD is on the mic. You know what I'm saying? PMD is normally real slow flow and real smooth with his delivery. But surprisingly, PMD did this beat in this track in 2021 Justice. He was very upbeat. It was on point. I liked it. Eric Sermon, on point as always. Eric Sermon hasn't lost a beat or lost a step in 30 years. So, I mean, 30 plus years. So, you know, EPMD sounded very, very good, very immaculate on this track. Nas's verse was okay. You know, I thought Nas's verse was, you know, it was okay. I felt that Nas's verse wasn't as focused, you know, as Eminem verse, you know, being that the song is, you know, called EPMD and is basically a song from the title and the aura of the song paying homage to, you know, the legendary group EPMD just in the song title alone. Nas's verse wasn't as focused as Eminem verse. Eminem just totally blacked out on this song. I mean, Eminem had hip hop quotable of the year on this song. Let's just call it for what it is. If I was Nas, after I heard Eminem verse, I would have went back into the stew. I would have went back into the lab and I would have rewrote my verse because Eminem probably had the second best verse on this album. We're gonna get into that a little bit later in a minute, but M verse was he just blacked out on it. You know, Eminem did the track justice and what I thought Nas would have did by paying homage to legendary hip hop icons a little bit more. Eminem shouted out LL Cool J, Big Daddy Kane, Rakim at the same time, giving his respect and rest in peace shout out to MF Doom, DMX, and also Prince Marky D. I thought that was lovely how Eminem shouted out Prince Marky D, you know, one of the unsung heroes in hip hop that has passed along. So very, very extremely dope, a lengthy, long, extremely fire verse by Eminem. Poverty at its peak, OCD and PTSD, I guess. RIP to DMX, G's Louise, and MC Ecstasy, and Prince Marky D, MF Doom. I hit 50 via text, told him that I love him because I don't even know when I'm gonna see him next. So that's just like a little bit of an example of what I was talking about. M paying homage to, you know, everybody that's passed away, all the legends that have passed away over the last, you know, year and a half in hip hop. That verse is so classic. I would be here for another. I could do a whole video alone just talking and breaking down Eminem verse. I just pray for the day when I'm able to say that I'm placed with greats and my name with the Kanyes and the Waynes and the Jays and the Dre's and the Yays and the Drakes and the J Dillas, Jada's, Cool J's. I mean, listen, there's no way I can emulate his flow, but you get the gist of what I'm saying. Eminem, salute to you. Yo, and I have to admit, if we're being honest here, Eminem has now killed Jay-Z on Renegade 20 years ago. Eminem has now killed Jay-Z and Nas on their own track. So what does that say? We can arguably say that Eminem is a better rhyme sayer than Nas. Rhyme sayer, the way he's spitting, Eminem, the way Eminem has killed Nas and Jay-Z on tracks, you can arguably say that Eminem is a better rhyme spitter, rhyme sayer, not talking about lyrical and precise content, but rhyme sayer than Jay and Nas. I'm not going out on a limb and saying that. I'm not having that discussion. That's for y'all to have. But I'm just saying, just throwing it out there. I'm just saying. Track 5, Rare. I mean, this is another self-explanatory song. Nas is, basically talking about how he's rare, things of that nature. Nas is almost rhyming in Nas is rhyming in sort of like a double time kind of flow. And the beat, it has 2 beats on the song. Hit Boy switches up the beat in the middle of the song. The first beat is cool. The beat switches up, you know what I'm saying? So Hit Boy, this is like one of his tracks, I think one of the second tracks on the album, if I remember correctly, where he switches up the beat. The beat starts off kind of, moderately up-tempo pace, and then it switches up in the middle. I thought this song, it was okay. It wasn't one of my favorite songs on here. So far, we haven't had any hip hop quotables on this album from Nas. We had that one from M on the previous song. But so far, Nas is just doing pretty much an average, okay job of just, doing what he does. Nothing crazy, but, that's Rare, track number 5. Track 6 is YKTV featuring A Boogie with the hoodie. My man A Boog and my guy YG representing the West Coast. YG, I'm a fan of YG, saying some of his material. He had an album that came out a couple years ago called For Real. I think that was the name of it. I thought that was a very good album. That was like, at the time when the album came out, it was definitely on my playlist. But this song right here, Nas is basically goes into his young boy bag, where he, this is the song sort of like the previous song on the first King Disease, Spicy, featuring A$AP Ferg and Fivio Foreign. This is that spicy song pretty much, to where it's appealing to, a little bit younger audience. That's why he got A Boogie on here, and, YG. It has like a little bounce to it. It wasn't, of course, one of my favorite songs on the album, but I found myself not disliking it. I thought it was, it's doable, it's okay. It's something that, when it comes on, I definitely let it ride. I won't immediately, necessarily skip over it, even though it's not of my pleasure. It was all right, It did what it did, and that was to, appeal to the younger, the younger demographic just a little bit. Track number 7 is Store Run, and this is Nas going into his reminiscent bag on when he was younger. Very, very soulful, lovely beat. I love this beat. One thing about Hit Boy, his production, I've criticized him a lot, quite a bit, but Hit Boy is good when he goes into his soulful bag. This song right here was cool. It lets us in a little bit. Like I said, Nas talking about his youth. And also, Nas is doing a little bit of lightweight storytelling on this one. This is like probably my favorite song on the album, up until we reach the next track, which is track number 8, called Moments. And I have my discrepancies with that, so let's talk about that one. I never met Muhammad Ali. I wish I did. My brother saw him. Champ told him nothing is real. Gave him the chills. Thought about it. That's how I feel. We on autopilot. No captain behind the wheel. My whole career, I steered away from features, but I figured it's perfect timing to embrace the leaders. Accepted my position as the master teacher. Nas comes out swinging on this track right here. This one right here, the beat is so soulful, keeping with that soulful, warm feeling that, the beat provides, just like the previous track. It gives me that warm feeling, that hip hop feeling, and Nas is just spitting on it. But then a little bit into the song, Hit Boy, he speeds up not necessarily speeds up the beat, but he provides some drum kicks onto the song that kind of like ups the tempo of the beat. That was like my main discrepancy with this song. I loved this song. And sometimes I feel like you have to let the beat breathe, and you have to let the artist just pour their soul and their heart out on tracks, which Nas did. Nas killed this instrumental, but I felt that the beat would have had a little bit more better justice if Hit Boy wouldn't have provided the up-tempo drum kicks. If he would have just let it ride at that smooth pace, it was just lovely. And the drum kicks definitely threw me off. I was like, damn, I wish Hit Boy would have just took the drum kicks off and just let the instrument, just let it, like Jay-Z said, let that breathe. Sometimes you gotta let the track breathe and just strip it down to where there's not a whole lot of extra heroics or extra elements added onto the song. But other than the drum kicks being added to make the song sound a little bit more up-tempo, I thought it was a good song. I love the smoothness of it. Definitely a good song. This is kind of like where the album hits its stride and starts its pocket. Now, full disclosure, I could have did without Hit Boy's little auto-tune at the end, because I don't necessarily like auto-tune, but it didn't ruin the whole entire song, even though I could have did without that. Now we come to the highlight and possibly the best song of 2021, hands down, both lyrically and production wise, and just in general, because it features two legends. Track 9, Nobody, featuring Lauryn Hill. This song right here, the production, I'm telling you, one thing about Hit Boy, and I've criticized him in the past, you know, whether it be, you know, the little quirk. I have like little quirks about Hit Boy's production that he did on the first King Disease, and a little bit on, you know, Benny's project too, but I thought that was an outstanding project. But, you know, but this right here is Hit Boy at his finest. This beat right here is just sets the tone. It puts you in that mood. This beat reminds me truly about why I fell in love with hip hop some 33 years ago, back in 87, you know what I'm saying, 80, 87, 88. The beat is just, it just sets the tone for the vocals and the lyrics provided by Lauryn and Nas. Can't say enough about it. Can't say enough about this track and Hit Boy's production. You know, Hit Boy has flashes of brilliance with his production on this album. He really does. One thing I love about this song right here, I can relate to Nas's second verse 1000%. I like the other definition, rectangular carrots. The concept of this song is rather esoteric. This girl said in Grenada, we should go get married. Broke the meaning down of the Virgin Mary. And you got your own place. My favorite part of the night, when you text me that you made it home safe. And Lauryn's verse, I'm telling you, I mean, listen, we haven't heard from Lauryn for years now. It's been so long since we heard from Lauryn. Lauryn, her career has been, it started off flaming hot and then it kind of got a little weird. And Lauryn has always just been kind of like MIA, 1 foot in, 1 foot out of the game. Hasn't really delivered that much material, consistent material, or, you know, let's call it for what it is, that much great or good material since her first classic album she came out with almost 25 years ago. So to hear Lauryn on this song, the fact that Nas, you know, reeled her in and got a 5 mic classic verse from Lauryn on this song was just outstanding. This is Lauryn. Lauryn literally sounds the way she did 25 years ago with the miseducation of Lauryn Hill. You know, it's just a shame that, you know, I feel that as the listening public and public in general and fans of her and just hip hop heads and hip hop fans in general that fell in love with her flow from the Fugees and, you know, and her, you know, her singing and things of that nature. But for fans like me that fell in love with her vocab, you know what I'm saying? No pun intended, with the Fugees song being vocab. One of my favorite Fugees songs. But fans like me that fell in love with her lyricism, I feel like we were robbed literally of the last 20 years by not having her come out with albums and do her career justice. I mean, this verse right here is the best verse on the album. You know, hip hop quotable of the year. This verse is the best verse I have heard on I would say on wax, but you know, on recorded on hip hop this year. This verse is amazing, and not being a prisoner of the moment because, you know, I haven't heard Lauryn spit in so long, but this verse reminds you of why, you know, you fell in love with hip hop, why you fell in love with the Fugees, why you fell in love with Lauryn Hill. I mean, I love this verse. On this song, Lauryn addresses one of the more hot topics that surrounded her career over the last 20-something years, since her career kind of fell into ubiquity a little bit. Her lateness to her concerts and her showing up on stage late to perform, some hour or hour and a half, in some cases 2 hours late. A lot of complaints were made about Lauryn when you show up to one of her shows. Is she going to show up? And if she does show up, she's going to show up late. But one thing I like is that she addresses that clearly on this song. They clearly didn't understand when I said I get out apparently. My awareness like Keanu in the Matrix. I'm saving souls and y'all complaining about my lateness. So, you know, that I'm glad she finally addressed that, because Lauryn is dormant. You know, she never lets us in on her life. She rarely does interviews at all, doesn't do interviews at all. She like, you know, she's just been dormant, and it's good to see her letting us in. It's just good to hear. It's just good to hear Lauryn Hill, El Boogie. And yo, I love this verse. This is a 5 mic song, 5 mic verse from Lauryn Hill. Love it. She's clearly solidified herself out of nowhere as the best female MC of 2021. I love all my other females MCs out there rhyming, all the rhyme sayers. I love y'all. But Lauren just came out and took that #1 spot out of nowhere. Track 10, No Phony Love featuring Charlie Wilson. It was a female joint. You know, normally I love my hip hop female joints, but this one was just okay. This song really didn't do it for me like that, but I'm sure, you know, the ladies, y'all will love it. Brunch on Sundays is track number 11. Another female joint featuring Blackst. I don't even know who this is. I can't pronounce his name. BLXST. But, you know, it's another female joint. You know, this one really didn't. For some reason, the female joints, normally Nas's female joints, you know, hit me, you know, like that. But this one in particular, these two female songs back to back, the Brunch on Sundays and the other joint I just mentioned featuring Charlie Wilson didn't hit me like that. This one is a special guest appearance by Auto-Tune. Auto-Tune makes a special guest appearance on this song. So as me not being a fan of Auto-Tune, I didn't gravitate toward this song, but it was, you know, the ladies, I know the ladies will love it. Y'all will love it, you know, but you know, it is what it is. I didn't really gravitate towards this one. Track 12 is Count Me In. Yo, like I said, this album has moments of brilliance on it by Hit Boy. And it's just amazing how, you know, a producer that I criticize a lot just always have his moments of just brilliance, and his moments sometimes where he just, you know, you're nitpicking with his production just sometimes can get on your nerves and get up under your skin a little bit. But this one, Count Me In, was literally like one of my favorite songs on the album. Nas was floating on this track. So this was definitely a fire song. Track 13, Composure featuring Hit Boy. This song right here, I'm gonna just call it for what it is. This song was raw as hell. Hit Boy, once again, his production is amazingly outstanding on this song right here. I love the horns in this song. Hit Boy surprisingly had a nice little verse on this song. I mean, of course, Hit Boy not gonna get lyrical with it, but he was floating on the track just like Nas was floating on the track. This is like another one of my favorite songs on the album right here. Nas takes us back to his youth on this song right here and opens up to us a lot. Gets very, very introspective on this song right here. Had yellow jaundice when I was born, kept me in an incubator 10 days long. I made up songs. I was like humming tunes 10 years later, writing in my room 10 years after that on stage like it's too soon. But for me, see, my parents met inside a nightclub. Olu started to fight and then my moms broke it up. And there in that, he's talking about reference to his father, the jazz musician Oludaru, and his moms. Don't be discouraged, just go with the plan. Gotta have faith in God's grace over the land. Nas takes us to church on track number 14, My Bible. Nas was definitely that line right there that I quoted. It hit me, it related with me very good. And Nas was saying some very good things on this song as far as like, you know, talking about God and, you know, having faith, things of that nature. And I can most definitely, absolutely gravitate towards that. So getting ready to roll out the credits and close the album. We hit track 15, Nas Is Good. Soulful way to end the album right here. Just kind of keeping with that soulful theme that I've been saying. Listen, this album right here, I went into it with a little bit of and a little frustrated curiosity, because I know what Nas can do lyrically. I know Nas can get busy. And comparing Nas to a lot of the other rhyme sayers and spitters right now, something that I shouldn't necessarily do, because Nas is in a different space in his life right now. I mean, the man is 48, 49 years old, and I'm trying to compare him to MCs that's, you know, in their late 20s or 30s spitting. And Nas is just in a different space, whether it be mentally, financially, spiritually. So you can't necessarily compare apples and oranges, the person who you are compared to the person who you used to be. I really found myself enjoying this album. This album made me reminisce on when I was younger, because I was living through Nas's words and through his youth. So it took me back to my youth. Just production wise, this album has moments of brilliance from Hit Boy. I know I've sort of slandered him in the past for his production, even though I have my quirks and sometimes my critical analysis about the way Hit Boy arranges his production sometimes, and the way he laces his beats and things of that nature, and the elements of his production. I thought he did a very good job on this album. This is like this is the third album in a row that Hit Boy has produced solidly, you know, very, very well. He did Benny's album, Burden of Proof, extremely well. The first King Disease, I thought was okay produced album. It was all right. And this album is just outstanding. Overall, There's not really too much negativity I can say about this album. If we're doing a Source magazine rating out of 5 mics, old school Source magazine, 1 being terrible, get that album out of here, just horrible, 5 being a hip hop classic. I'm trying not to be prisoner of the moment right here, but I'm gonna give this album as of right now 4. But as of right now, recording this, I'm giving it a 4. This is definitely one of the best albums to drop so far in 2021, next to Ransom's Heavy as the Head album that dropped a couple weeks ago. And that's my King Disease 2 review. Feel free to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and you know, for more content, just keep coming back. Just let me keep reeling you in like how Hit Boy's production has reeled me in on this album. Just keep coming back. It's AP, and I will check y'all later. Peace. Peace.